here in the legislature, both on the House as well as on the Senate side. And also let me thank the mayor, Mayor Ford, as well as the city council people from the great city of Stockbridge. Today is a very, very sad day for me because what I just witnessed in the SLOGO committee for the state Senate is not just a racially polarized vote, but I also witnessed a gender polarized vote. And let me just kind of explain to you for a moment what that means for this great state. Of the 6 members on the board and the committee chairman, 3 of which are African-American females, 4 of which are white males. What we just witnessed in Stockbridge is a vote taken by all 4 white males that voted along a racial and a gender line to de-annex property away from the sovereignty of a city that's never ever happened before in this great state. And let me just say they did that under the cloud of very little debate. When we're talking about a complicated issue, it's almost impossible, and I really mean impossible, to capture the essence of what's happening in this legislation with Senate Bill 262 and 263 in 15 minutes with 3 minutes to rebut the comments toward the end. And let me just say there's some information concerning this process that I submitted an open records request from the city of Stockbridge, and I have certain information that I will freely release to the press that documents the history dating from 1992 up to 2012 from actions taken by one law firm in the county. This law firm, and I say this law firm is important because this law firm since 1992 up through 2012 represented the city of Stockbridge. And I shouldn't say it through 2012. I should also say that this law firm continues to represent the city today. Now, why is that important? Let me share with you why that's important. There's 2 members in this General Assembly. One is the son of the founder of this law firm that works and serves over in the House of Representatives. The other one is a junior partner in the same law firm that is the author and sponsor of this legislation in the Senate. He represents the 17th District. I may also add that this same law firm has been documented as contributed countless dollars to the opposition who's trying to de-annex land from this great city. Somebody should pause for a moment and think exactly what does that mean. Now we have a law firm whose partners serve in the legislature, who's promoting legislation that his firm, dating back to 1992, orchestrated and worked with the developers of Eagles Landing Country Club to bring certain parcels into the city. What I'm talking about here is a clear conflict of interest, a clear conflict of interest. And let me just say what our Senate rules say. If you go back to Senate Rule 5-1-8, it talks about when we as elected officials can vote. It says in number D, no senator shall vote upon any question if the senator or any member of the senator's immediate family has a direct pecuniary interest in the result of such vote, which interest is distinct, unique, or peculiar to the senator or the senator's immediate family. If there's ever was a case for a conflict of interest in this state, look at the history of what this one law firm and its 2 partners have done in orchestrating this hostile takeover of a city. And that's exactly what it is. It is a hostile takeover of a city. I hearken back to the Constitution of this great state. I didn't read anywhere in that Constitution where it talked about wealthy being able to take away from those that are less fortunate in this city. I didn't see anywhere where it talked about powerful law firms being able to have their way on both sides when they're talking about splitting up a city as well as when they're talking about putting cities together and representing cities. If there's ever was a case for conflict of interest, folks, this is it. I'm going to speak for a moment very briefly, and then I'm going to ask if there's any others that would like to make comments. but I'm going to make this information that I have available here that I receive on open records requests to members of the media, and not to mention the hundreds of resolutions that we receive from cities all across this state. What we just witnessed today in this committee was a sham. It's been a sham from the very beginning. This vote was rigged before this committee even started. And let me just say to you that this vote was canceled. This committee was canceled twice. And the reason why it was canceled twice is because the committee chairman initially didn't want to have a vote, didn't want to have a hearing. He simply wanted to herd his members together and take a vote without hearing from the public. And after some subtle pressure, he decided, well, we'll let both sides speak 15 minutes. And I don't think there's a single member up here that represents the city or any member of this legislature that thinks 15 minutes is enough to discuss the impact that this legislation would have on Stockbridge. This impact very simply would destroy this city. Based on the analysis and the data that I received from Carl Vinson Institute, the most prominent institution in this state when it comes to incorporation, they've stated emphatically, regardless of what this city will do to try and cut its budget, there is no way it can slash itself or cut itself into any kind of a balanced budget. Under each scenario that they presented to me, this city would lose anywhere from $2.2 up to $3.3 million. And this is not a big city, folks. This city has a budget between $8 and $9 million. This is not Atlanta that we're talking about. But let me just tell you, this legislation has impact on Atlanta. Because if they can do this in Stockbridge, they can do it in the city of Atlanta. There will be nothing stopping those gathering forces in Buckhead or some other community in the city who decides we're going to use this legislation to secede from the city of Atlanta. No city in this state is safe if we allow this legislation to pass. And I just want to remind my mayor and those out there that I represent, which is 100% of the city of Stockbridge, that I will not stand here and allow this legislation to move forward without a fight. And let me just remind all the city council members, this is a process. This is just the beginning. This is the first step. And let me just tell you, by the time I leave here this year, this will be the last step. And I stand united with the city of Stockbridge and the citizens in saying no to Senate Bill 262 and no to Senate Bill 263. Is there any other members that would like to share any comments?
I'll do that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thank you, Senator Jones and Representative Scott. Appreciate you being here and all the support we've gotten from the city for the city of Stockbridge from all the legislative branch here. Truly appreciate that. And the fight will continue on. Unfortunately, this happened today, but we will keep moving forward and we'll beat this back. And the ultimate goal is that we're going to win this, and the de-annexation will not occur. So we're going to keep fighting this process, along with the council support and the citizen support out there. We'll keep pushing this along. And I know our staff will do a great job for us as we connect with folks here at the Dome here, the Capitol, to make sure things go right and proper. And I know Senator Jones will continue to keep us involved and work for us in the betterment of the city itself in the long term, along with Demetrius Douglas. I know it's not standing with us right now, Representative Douglas. I know he's with us on this aspect as well. So we'll continue to fight this, and, sir, we're going to win in the long run. I know that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments, sir?
Any other comments or questions from anyone? Senator Davenport.
Thank you very much, Senator Jones. I live in Clayton County, the adjoining county. Originally in the 44th district, I represented the city of Stockbridge. I still have relatives and friends that live there. They have called me to say, please do not let this pass. I stand today with the citizens of Stockbridge and to fight against Senate Bill 262 and 263. It would have a negative impact on the city of Stockbridge, and the city will not be able to survive. What you just witnessed, what we all just witnessed in the committee, was really racial. We look at the demographics, we looked at the people who voted, and we know what it is. And I am here today to let the citizens of Stockbridge, the mayor and the city council, know that we stand firmly with them in this fight. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Sandra G. Scott, and I represent a portion of Stockbridge in Henry County. And I will say that we are united. We will continue to stand and we will continue to fight this process. If you all witnessed this morning, this is racism at its best. But down here, we are going to continue to fight and stand with the city of Stockbridge. And yes, this will have a negative impact on the city, and we all know that. We all know what it is about. And I'm glad today that the mayor and the city council, and thank you to Senator Emanuel Jones for having this press conference to bring us together to let the people of Stockbridge know that we stand united and we will not stop fighting for the city of Stockbridge. Thank you.
Any questions from any member?
I've noticed that for such a tense issue that affects citizens in Stockbridge, as well as those in the proposed city of Eagles Landing, the Eagles Landing Research Council or Committee, they've made it clear that there's going to be 46% African Americans and 39% white people within those cities. However, as you all know, when you've talked to people in those areas, they don't see it that clearly, that there's going to be a reasonable amount of respect for people who are not necessarily within that city, for them to be able to have their rights respected. I would ask, what is, if you had the opportunity to speak to those residents who themselves are in the proposed city of Eagles Landing, what would you say to them if the bill goes through and they are able to actually vote on this measure?
Well, my message to those that live in this proposed area is the same as my message to those that live outside this proposed area. This action that we're taking up here is one that I've never ever seen before, not just in my 14 years of serving here, but also in the entire history and the research I've done for this great state. I believe that every person should have a vote. And that's not just a vote from those that are in the incorporated areas, but those that's going to be impacted that's outside this proposed incorporated area. If you notice in this legislation, it does not give those citizens that's impacted that will be remaining in the city an opportunity to vote. It only gives those that would be in this proposed area. When you take away half of the revenue from a city, it's not just impacting those that left the city, it's certainly impacting those that's going to remain in the city. As was said earlier, Stockbridge does not have a property tax. So what's driving this? What is really driving this? I heard some very shallow comments from those that's promoting this legislation this morning, and it talked very simply about upscale amenities. I've never had a city come to this legislator that said we want to be incorporated because we need some upscale amenities. Just because you change the lines of a city doesn't mean you're going to change the demographics at all. If businesses are going to locate to a community, it's going to be based on the entire community, not just on a little well-defined area. Henry County is a county of well over 200,000 people. It's growing. There's a coming development on Jodico Road that was briefly mentioned today. That's going to be a $1 billion development. And the amenities that those who seeking, they're already coming. I've lived in this county for the last 25 years that I've been a resident, and should I say a returning resident to this state, because I was born here in Georgia. And in those 25 years, I've seen Henry County grow from a little farming community to what it is today. I've operated a business in this county for 25 years. I've seen the demographics of this county change. Let's just say what it is. Let's just call it what it is. Anytime you're going to disrupt a community of interest for those that are serving, as you can see from this city, it's going to have repercussions throughout not just the entire county, but this bill, in the event it was allowed to pass, which I doubt very seriously, by the way, will have ripple effects across this entire state. no community of color would be safe. No community of interest would be safe. No county or city council person in any capacity would be safe because we could simply draw a line and draw them out of their community. I'm thankful for government and that we have 3 branches because we need those other 2 to check the actions of this legislature.
I have one small question to follow.
Absolutely.
From your opinion, well, let me say, since, as a local resident, I'm LMID, Holly, I've been in Henry County since 2004. I know that generally, folks all around Henry County, we have pretty good rapport with one another, being able to talk to each other and get issues worked out. Being that this matter has actually, it's circumvented having a consensus among the local delegation and it's gone straight to the general body of the state capitol. Do you feel that this action will set a very dangerous precedent that perhaps local communities, our local communities, will no longer be able to talk and work it out, but that they'll just go straight to the Capitol without a lot of input from the local citizens?
The answer is most definitely. The impact that this process has had is on not just Stockbridge, but on Henry County is already being felt. I can't tell you how many citizens that I've spoken to. And let me just tell you and share with you, none of them that I've ever spoken to is in favor of this legislation. And I've been a member of this country club for 24 years. I have several friends that live behind that gated community. And I know for a fact that they're not in favor of it either. So what you have here is a law firm, a very powerful law firm in this county, and particularly one that has several conflicts of interest because its 2 junior partners, along with the fact that it has represented this city for Stockbridge since 1992 up until 2012 and continues to work for this city, has decided in its wisdom that it has found a way to get around the fact that they no longer represent Stockbridge, and we're going to create our own city using the resources that we have in our law firm and those wealthy people that we know that reside behind these gates. That's what this is about. It's a power grab. It's about greed. It's about an attempt by those white citizens of that area to really put themselves above the other citizens in Stockbridge. None of this ever came about. Stockbridge has been in existence, you heard, for almost 100 years. Why hasn't this been discussed before? This is the first African-American mayor of this city. This is the very first African-American city council for this city. Let's just call it what it is. It's secession. Let's not pretend what the other side is attempting to do here. Any other questions from anyone? If not, thank you for attending, and we will continue this fight to the very bitter end. Thank you, and God bless all of you for joining us today.